Beautiful. Good evening, Kai. Wonderful to have you.
Hey,
It's 6 p.m. here in Zurich on the dot. If I'm aware correctly, you're back in Munich currently?
Actually, yeah, I'm in Munich.
That sounds very good. Well, I want to welcome our members and our viewers coming in. They're still coming in droves, but seems a good time to get started. And I want to welcome everyone to our 4R talk, this time with our very special head of development technology, our CTO Kai Zeh. This is also the first 4R talk we're going to be doing in English, just to serve our international community, as I'm sure they're also quite interested in these topics. The previous two with Nico and with Vladimir, our CFO, we've done in German, but this time we're an international company. It seems like a good idea to do one of these in English, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, as this is the first one that I'm sure many of our international viewers will be seeing, I want to quickly introduce some of these things. This is our monthly series. We're doing one of these every time or at the end of every month. We talk to one of our members of the 4R leadership team. As I've stated earlier, the first one we've had with our CEO, Nico, the second one we've had with our CFO, Vladimir, and today it's the turn of our CTO, Kai Zeh. Again, Kai, thank you very much for joining us. Again, the first time in English. So quickly, myself, I'm the COO or director or whatever, Dino Levkovic of 4ARTechnologies. I am leading through these talks. In general, we have a few questions, a few points to discuss prepared. We'll have, about 40 minutes or so of just general relaxed discussions, get a few insights, a few things that aren't maybe in the general public, and then we have roughly 20 minutes, 15 minutes about to answer some of our viewer questions that are going to be coming in. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. And it seems like a good way to start. And as this is the first time we have you on one of these very special shows, it seems like a good opportunity, despite us having talked once or twice before on the air. Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, say a few words about your history, what you've done before we get to what's happening at 4Art.
Right. So yeah, once again, thank you for inviting. It's always cool talking to you over the air. English is cool, as long as you don't ask me to speak one of our languages of our applications, like Arabic or so. Difficult for me, but at least I can follow a little bit French, a little bit Japanese, but better not doing any interviews with that. Yeah. So I'm Kai. I'm the CTO of 4Art. I'm actually, how should I say, I'm a technical guy since I'm young. So with age of 12, I started earning my first books by just writing some demos in some shops around. It was a cool time. Programming was not really so much known as a job. And yeah, my first job was actually working as a mainframe developer. I don't think we use that term anymore nowadays. Today, we probably would say big computers. So yeah, anything specific you want to talk about, Dino?
I don't know. I mean, just a general introduction. Some of the things I know, for example, that you've worked at Nintendo as well.
Okay. So the whole
remember correctly, yeah. Just it's not an interview. We don't want to go through every detail of the CV.
Yeah.
Some of the things so people can get to know.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So yeah, I did work for some big companies. I did work, made a lot of projects for like Volkswagen. But also I did work for quite some time in the games industry. So like I did work for more than 13 years for Nintendo, for the European market. Actually, we called it PAL markets at that time, the PAL TV standards, and did a lot of games and a lot of hardware. And after that, I did actually work for quite some big network agency networks like WPP and Publicis. And yeah, one of the companies I probably would pick out is Meta Design, as a German design brand company, a big brand. At the time when it was founded, it was like the leading brand agency worldwide. So it was a pleasure working for them. And yeah, continued striving through the technology business. And then, yeah, then I did actually hit the our paths did actually cross when I met Nico 2018. And I helped 4ARTechnologies at that time working on the white paper, the original concept. And yeah, it was such a cool thing. So then I said, hey guys, actually Nico said to me, hey, you want to work with us from now on? And now I'm here for more than 2.5 years now.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually how it goes, that one of us met Nico through some by chance, really, and then got to know the project and was on board quite quickly. It was striking that you say that, because I was working on the white paper as well, of course, and I think we've never talked during that time.
No.
You only arriving.
He just came by to Berlin, and then he came up with the idea, and then we just talked about all the possibilities that could work if you have something like that. And yeah, it was a cool time. And now 2.5 years later, after I joined completely, so it's actually 3 years later, seeing that the things are all now up and running and all those ideas came to life, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it that brought you to, I mean, you've had quite an illustrious career and you've seen lots of things and done amazing projects. What was it that brought you to?
It was specifically because I did work on the blockchain area, and that's one of the. It's not the hard product at all. It's a technology we're using as well, and because of that, our parts had crossed. And then then this fit came in, right, with all those different technologies we're using nowadays. Because I did work on so many different areas of mobile devices, but also data mining, big computing, which is all part of our infrastructure and technology landscape. And that's why it made such a good fit, because usually you need a lot of people working on all those different aspects, bringing them together. And then, yeah, it was a coincidence that we met, and it was, I believe that's for me a great opportunity. Yeah, making use of all the things I learned, and then creating together with you and all the others such a amazing ecosystem.
Yeah, it's very true. It's so weird. It's been so long now, but it's always this Stanford speech by Steve Jobs saying connecting the dots is one of those main points they gave. It's super famous. I'm sure many people have heard it. Where he's like, follow your passion and live every day like it's your last, and all these things. But one of those main points is you never really know how things connect somewhere. And it was the same for me, having done different kinds of projects internationally, having done a blockchain project before, having done things like events, for example, having led marketing and so forth, sort of this general aspect. And then by some weird coincidence, it's all coming together in this project because it's so broadly set up. You need so many different kinds of skills in the same position, especially in a leadership role such as yours, which is so key. I've heard this story so many times. You just pick these little pieces, and all of a sudden it gives you this wonderful picture that didn't really exist before, but now it's applied perfectly.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, the core idea of the whole project actually was that we will protect investments into art, right? So we protect the investors and we protect the art, and by being able to have the original, to see what is the original artwork and what is the counterfeited one. And this is it's actually not a small idea, it's a bold idea, but if you look at our landscape, it's one technology aspect which requires so much technologies in so many areas, right? So we have the mobile device, which needs to be performant, and we have a complicated process and we have a big infrastructure on the backside of that, and with different technologies as well. So that's kind of, it looks nowadays, it's just a small application in your hand, in your mobile phone, but there's so many technologies coming together and making it so easy. Like you just press the button and you just use the camera as you would use for your private vacation images, right? For your photos. That's kind of cool. That in the end, it's a small thing to use, but using a lot of different technologies, and that's what I actually love.
Yeah,
and it's easy.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, then let's talk a bit more in detail. I
Right.
mean, we are, or a huge aspect of what we're doing is this technological development. It's very broad. It's very dynamic. Maybe you
Right.
can give us a bit of an insight on how does 4Art do development?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably interesting, because usually the people think, okay, you start in a room and then you crank it up and then you have an application, you upload it and that's it. And in the end, every project starts like that. But we have a lot of products. We have the professional application, the 4Art app. We have a logistic application, right, for which we're using for just logistic companies. Then we have the exhibition application, which is partly integrated into professional. You can also use on the iOS, but basically it's its own technology application, right? And then we have upcoming a lot of projects. I'm not sure how far I should go forward, but basically, we are working right now on the NFT marketplace itself, right? And if you consider that, it's still part of the main application, right? So you need the main application, and by some button pressings, you have an NFT based on your already existing artworks. And this is a lot of different products. I mean, there are more product lines which are not products, it's just technology lines. Like we have, for the whole infrastructure, just for the computing of the imagery data which we're collecting, we have a team doing nothing else than that, right? So they're just working on analyzing imagery. Then we have a team just working on the UI for iOS. I think that's the one everybody expected, right? But we have the same team for Android because we are featuring Android as well. And then we have the generic teams. I would call them generic, but they're not really, for the whole backend computing, right? So there you have people just working on the UI of the backend, because there are some people need to work with the data. And then we have all the API developers for the different products. So each of the product has its own API. And then we have the logic layers, right? So there's a lot of logic layers behind. And yeah, and then we have some people doing nothing else than maintaining data security and also maintaining actually data. And besides all the technology guys, of course, we have the support guys actually using all those tools, helping our customers to cater if they have any problems or whatever, to help them forward. And the way how we work is actually working, it's a mix of agile development and classic waterfall. I combine it because we need to have a steady outcome. So some of the things we do in a pretty iterative way of like a more agile team work. So, but all of them are bound together in daily meetings. And I'm a fan of everybody knows everything, even so we doesn't need to work on it. So that's pretty important. So we have every morning a team with a complete development team. And we have then, of course, the individual ones. And we're working worldwide. So we are pretty split up. And the cool thing here is when COVID hit actually most of the companies as a surprise, we actually didn't have to change a lot in our infrastructure. I mean, communicational infrastructure, because we already did it that way, because not everybody can be in one place if you have that many technology routes. And that's somehow how we work. And then, of course, we have repository systems, redundancy systems, because we are pretty secure. Oh, I forgot to mention, we have blockchain developer teams as well. So it's like, it's very wide. And we are basically started on Ethereum, and most of the things we secure through the Ethereum blockchain. However, we are now featuring Tezos as well. So we developed a small development branch into Tezos as well. So yeah, a lot of people, a lot of tech, and you have, of course, your team leads for each of them. But yeah, at a certain point, you need to pull the strings together. So that's what we're doing in Zug when I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. How many people is it roughly that you're supervising?
Depends. Right now, I think we are 26 plus our leading stuff. So they're coming on top, and then we have QA guys. So it's not such a super big team. You could actually have, I did see with the same kind of technologies we are managing, having like 60 to 70 people working on that. But this has also some drawbacks. So I'm trying not to overload too many new products in, because then you're losing the quickness and the speed. And this is somehow key. So we've been pretty innovative from the from the start, right? I mean, I think you remember when we launched the first application, it just did feature that small use case at the very beginning I was talking, right? You can have your collection and you can secure it, and it's all cool. And then we started with sharing it, right? And then now people can share their virtual galleries, right? Just by pressing some buttons to thousands of people, or maybe just individuals. And it developed so much. So it's like, to be frank, you guys are inputting a lot. Hey, we need this feature, we need that feature. And yeah, my job is to make that happen. At the same time, staying operational.
Yeah, I mean, today I was talking to your colleague Rainer, who was in the office as well, and I told him about the idea or the demand by big warehouses, for example, to have sort of a simple singular application where you can track what's coming in and what's going out, especially in the free ports, for example. It's always the demand, because the market is still so analog and so, I don't want to say antiquated, but there's so much room to grow and to develop. There's demand, and again, that's the point you're alluding to, and the point we all feel all the time. There's so much room to grow and so much to do all the time right now in such a broad aspect that it's hard to even focus or say, okay, let's do this. And it takes, I mean, while you say it's a small team, I mean, it's, you know, near 30 people. There you have to develop this, and you have to test it, and you have to implement it, and you have to market it, and you have to go through this whole thing. But there's 5 new ideas approaching you guys every single day, essentially, because there's just so much to do and so many possibilities.
Yeah, you know, the funny part is that many of the ideas you guys come up with, I need to anticipate them months before. There might be something coming in that direction. So when we are actually developing that small feature, we don't need to restart. So architecture is key. So especially if you work with a lot of data, and as maybe not many people know it, we've been saying that, but I think it's not so self-understanding. So people anticipate, okay, yeah, it's like others companies doing it. You know, we are artwork centric. That means that some people always forget that. So we're not typical like a customer collection company. We actually want to have artworks. And the artwork is the key. And if I'm the owner of an artwork, then I have access to the data of the artwork. But if I'm not the owner, I don't have access to the artwork, full stop. And it sounds so stupidly simple, but it's amazingly difficult from a data architectural point of view, because, you know, in IT, you can connect everything and find out everything. I mean, we all did see all those movies about what hackers can do, and ooh, they know everything. And, you know, we don't track our users. We don't automatically link their history to the username. That's such a big challenge from an architecture point of view, because all systems you usually see everything is interconnected. And somehow it is, but you need to avoid that. You know, if you would ask me today, hey, Kai, can you have a look on my artwork? And I said, no. I don't know what you have, right? So if you give me access to it and you tell me which one, then I can look it up, but only in that case. So even I should be able to see whatever I like. So that's kind of difficult. On the other side, then you have products like the logistic applications, which actually fits into that use case you mentioned about those small use cases. So they are part of the logistic branch, and they are a little bit different from a design point of view, because there you have company customers who they want to get shipped something from A to B or to C or D, and you want to track, and you have all those reportings in between, like status reports or palletization, or it's loaded on a truck or an airplane, and you want to document that part. So this is a bit more of a different use case. However, they have one thing in common with our main ecosystem, which is the artwork, which is shit. So the artwork data set, that's valid, and that's the 4ART artwork data set. And that's what we use within the logistic application, but not all those things around. So there is no direct interconnectivity about user data or whatever happened, or the provenance, for example. This belongs to the owner, not to any logistic provider. So they have only access to that ID, which the 4ART ID, I would call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the main differences, and a super important point is when I talk to different entities, and especially big institutions or partners, is that they are so in frame of mind that it's always user-centric, and that's how all the competitors do it, for example. But we really, I mean, it's such a simple thing, but it's such a key point, is that we create the passport for the art piece, and it's not related to the person, it's related to the object. And it's so key because that makes that object movable. It makes it relatable to itself and not the person. It also secures the information, especially when it comes to the personal information, more strongly, because again, it's not associated with any kind of specific user. Yes, one person is the owner and has registered the information, but then it can move, and it has its own little set that's removed from the private person, and that's super key. And that's a big advantage, and sort of one of the most forward-looking things I've encountered. And it's always where people go, okay, that's very, very important and very special, is that we really care about the art piece itself, the object, and not what the users are doing. And I mean, they never believe, or they always ask, well, how do you earn money? Is it through user tracking something? No, we don't track what the users are doing. We're not seeing how many artworks do you upload, and how do you click, and how can we monetize the person? It is always about the object, right? And moving it and tracking it and handling it and everything. That's super important. But
yeah, I think one of the reasons why we can do that is because we are transaction based, right? That means, like, if you do something, then you pay for it. And by the way, just to clarify for everybody who's listening, of course, we have a user-centric design in the applications, of course, because users are using it. When we talk about not user-centric, it means a data structure, right? It's not user-centric, which usually is the case. Like Google is completely user-centered, right? It's like, okay, we want to know what the people are doing. And of course, I mean, it will be completely ignorant to believe that we don't need to see what users are doing. But in order to find it out, we do user testings, right? We look what the people are actually doing. We listen to their problems. So, which is a bit more work. Yes, because you need to collect actively the data, and you don't get thousands of data sets just inputted to you, and you just make an analysis. It's more work, but it's worth it, right? Not just collecting data by any means, and people feel like, hey, yeah, I'm transparent, and that's what we try to achieve. The people shouldn't be transparent.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there's a bit more road to discover. Again, it's always, we love to talk, and it's such a fascinating topic, especially because there's just so much. But in any case, let's try and move it forward a little bit as time is running on. One of the questions I asked Nico first as well, and I think it's always a cool question, especially because you've done and created so much and been such an integral part of 4ART success. What is one of those developments, or what is the development you're most proud of, where we say, wow, I thought it was possible, but damn, we actually did it?
Okay, that's difficult. That's such a difficult question, because there are so many things which come to my mind, which I really think are great achievements we did. But I think the coolest thing we do, beside that we are able to scan surfaces, identify them, work with the data. I mean, like, there are so many things behind that, and some other gadgets I'm working on. The real coolest thing is that it's so simple. It's, sometimes development, the coolest development is if it's easy to use. And if there's so many incredible things we're doing, right? For example, I pull out the spot check, which is one of our condition reporting features, right? So for the people who don't know it or didn't hear about it, it's like you just take your mobile phone, you open the app, and you say, I want to check this spot on the artwork. I see something on it. You hold the camera on it, and in an instant, it shows you, hey, this has been there or this has not been there on your artwork. So basically what happens in the background, technical people like, oh, wow, that's a bit crazy. How should this work? But it feels like it's so easy, right? You point it and your phone knows, I know this area and I know this is how it looked before. So here, have a look at the heat map. That's a difference. And this is so simple because you just take a photo or let it take a photo by itself, and then you get the result. And the same thing for authentication. It's like the real thing I'm proud about is that it's so easy, that having such really cool things behind it, which I could now go in detail. But I think what I'm really happy about is that the front end looks so easy. And I think that's by itself an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where people don't go, well, okay, it's not the figurehead or the lighthouse where you go, wow, that's super impressive. No, but I know I talk to an artist and I go, well, what you can do is you take a weekend, you register your 50 artworks, and then at a click of a button, you've created a digital catalog raisonné, you've secured your copyright, you've secured the authenticity, you've created like a professional setup, you've created this living track and trace record, all these cool things. That's already mind-blowing. It seems so simple, but it's really such a huge step. And then at the click of a button, you have a 3D VR showroom that you can share again at the click of a button, just super simply everywhere, wherever you like, super easily. All your artworks are available in AR, so people can view them as quickly as they like. They can get in touch with you right away. You can share information. You can have complete control over what kind of information you can share. You can do this whole thing then, and they can't really believe it. And it really is just a click or two away. I mean, it's one of those phrases that's touted so often, but it is really super simple. It's it's very, very cool, I have to say. I mean, that's stuff that we've done, right? It's already done, right? I mean, we've done the exhibitions app, super simple, right? Logistics app already fixed, right? Fingerprinting, condition reporting, that's all done. No, I mean, it's always in development, of course, but these are what do you focus on currently with your teams?
There are actually multiple projects we're focusing on. Something which people sometimes forget is if you have an application which is like 500, 600 screens, one super important point is actually localization. And what we are pushing out, right, almost in the weekly, 2-weekly matter is actually adding new languages like Arabic we just released, and what we now going to work on is Chinese and Japanese. Actually, we are already working on that. It's a small side effect, no features, just making it accessible to a bigger audience who doesn't speak English. That's the main key. And of course, I mentioned it, we are releasing the marketplace. So we basically done it. The only thing we do is we fine tune, and now you guys pick up the right artists to start with it and get them on with it. And then we will release it as soon as we think we have good content, right? So that's what we're working on. And yeah, the condition report is going to be released not outside of the logistic application. So it's part of the logistic application because there are some specialized companies who do actually condition reporting for galleries and artists and private collectors. And we will release the tool also for the 4ART application. So everybody can do a condition report. I mean, I'm not talking only about that spot check feature, which I said it's part of that, but I'm talking about a really full-fledged condition report. So everybody can do a full-fledged condition report, and he will be able to use it for his insurer, for example, if you want to claim a damage or something. So because it's a standardized report, which we did work together with insurance companies to make it really the report they can just use. And that's important. And it's also important for, by the way, for professionals, because there is, of course, applications out there where you can document your images and you can paint on it or whatever and so on. But the point is, it needs to be kind of standardized and it needs to be modern. It needs to be super fast, right? You want to have that in an instant. And this whole thing that's what we will release on the 4ART app as well. And yeah, what else do we do? I mean, there are some really cool things. I mean, I could also talk about some really cool stuff coming up.
In a little bit. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that at the end. Let's stick with another topic though that's super important and something that everybody's still talking about, everybody's asking us about. But I think that's currently one of the big developments on our end, and you've touched on it before, is the point of NFTs. I mean, we've talked about it on Instagram and on other channels before about minting NFTs, and I mean, you've touched on the marketplace. I've been in just endless amounts of discussions about NFTs, and they're always very superficial. Can you maybe take like a few minutes just to give your insight on this new technology? I mean, new technology in quotation marks, but this new thing that's on the market, maybe your more technological view on it, rather than, hey, I have an image that I can sell for, I don't know, apparently $1 million. Just maybe your insights and your views on this new tech.
Okay, that's interesting that you want to have a technology point of view from my side, because I always try to not make it so technology driven because
you're the CTO, and that's why we're here.
So useful for others. So that's my job, is usually translating it in the other direction. So let's try to make a good mix, but not too technology wise. So it's like, I mean, the thing which non-technical people usually don't get is, I mean, what the fuck is an NFT, right? I mean, to make it very simple, right? I mean, if my wife or somebody's asking, it's like, what is an NFT, right? How do you explain it without telling you, hey, that's a blockchain? And then okay, what's a blockchain, right? Of course, some people know what's a blockchain, but that's kind of difficult. So what I use actually as a let's say metaphor for it is like, okay, just imagine you have an artwork and you make a print of the artwork. Then you have a copy of it, but it's not a real copy. It's like this is on paper, right? So just imagine you do a digital copy of it, and then the next step comes, okay, so it's an image like on my mobile phone. And I said, kind of, it's a digital object. It represents maybe a physical or a digital object, but by itself, it's a digital object which is not deletable and which is not editable. So if you make an image on your phone, usually what the people know is, oh yeah, I can put some filters on it. Oh, I don't like that. You remove something, you cut something. That's not possible with an NFT. NFT is, as it's created, it's unchangeable. And if it's linked to a real world object, usually it's linked to an image which is stored somewhere, and it's maybe linked to some metadata packets, right? Some informations about that artwork. And this is actually true also for digital objects. There are some NFTs which do actually have the artwork embedded, like a bytes drop, like for example, CryptoPunks. There is everything embedded into that digital object in this NFT. And but the big difficulty I see is for many people is, okay, so now I have an NFT object, and this is now by itself, what do I do with it? And this is, I think, again, if you refer to like edition printing, it's a digital edition of your artwork, whether real world or digital. So that's my take on how to explain what an NFT is. And that's the reason why it makes sense to buy it, because then it gets to be a collectible. Then it has value because it's unchangeable and it represents. And just imagine how many wonderful artworks are on the world, and like the Warhol prints, right? Or I mean, like, I don't even want to go to the most expensive ones, right? Just really, there's so much wonderful art out there, and usually it's there existing once, right? And if people want to participate on that, they maybe make a printout and maybe hang a printout in their living room or whatever. But And this is then not really a collectible stuff. You want to have a real edition. So like Andy Warhol, he made those factory prints, right? So there are editions, and each of them is a value by itself. Even so, it's the same. But it's an edition. So then it generates value, and it's not changeable. And if you do that on a digital basis, that's the way to go. That's what you do with an NFT. It's a representation of the actual single artwork. And there are different kind of NFTs, right? So you have the single NFT, right? One artwork, one NFT. So this is the super classic NFT, right? So like there's just one. But there are also multiple NFTs for an artwork existing. So that's possible as well. So the options are really unbelievably flexible. So that's why people usually lose it quite fast, what an NFT is.
Yeah, and that's why they usually talk about the super basics, and the superficial level is that one-on-one you create an NFT which must apparently contain the ownership rights of a digital file, artwork, whatever you have.
Right.
And that's what's happening. But I mean, as we know, it's almost like digital art. It's about as broad as you can imagine. You can do quite a lot with these NFTs, and it really is a whole new way that's still at the very, very beginning. Something we've talked about before as well, in an angle, and I've touched on it just now, is the question of security. Where we're all about security, securing private information, securing or securely digitizing artworks, securing documentation, whatever. And NFTs are secure, right? That's sort of the headline, and there's one of them or a limited number of them, and they're secure because it's blockchain, and that's perfectly fine.
Okay, there's a catch with NFTs. So I just explained that NFT is a digital unchangeable object, and it's on a blockchain. That means it's secure. That's per se, that's absolutely correct. So we can leave that intact. However, usually NFTs are linked to an image, as I said, or to a data package. And this is not necessarily part of the NFT itself, because, I mean, frankly, that costs money, it's space, right? So people put it somewhere else. So the problem with that is that this means it's maybe not as secure as you might think from time to time. So this is one of the reasons why when our NFTs, for example, they are linked to our artwork objects. And as we didn't mention it yet, all this data is actually secured through blockchain technology. It means like blockchain to blockchain, somehow that's a secure link. And on top of that is that, you know, when you buy an NFT of any artwork, doesn't matter what kind of amount, like if you spend 1,000 euros or you spend maybe a fortune, like million of euros, which happens ongoingly. The question people didn't raise yet, but started to raise now is, hey guys, but what can I do with that NFT? And the answer is, you own it. Cool, that's it. So, and yeah, I remember in the last talk, you remember when I did talk about the CryptoPunk, the digital one, which I bought? And the first thing I did is I printed it out and it's hanging in the living room. And then my lawyer said, our lawyer, Mark, said, hey, you cannot just do that. And I said, well, why? I bought it, right? So I have the rights. And I said, no, there are no rights associated. And this is something that's super important. And this is what we add to our NFTs. And it's, by the way, that's I was talking on the panel in Dubai in the blockchain conference we attended last time, is that it's so important that you regulate that for the owners, because you know you invest a lot of money and you have expectations, and there are no rights per se associated with it. You're not just allowed to print it or show it on your website or whatever. It's not allowed. You don't have any IP rights bought associated with that NFT. So with our platform, what I did is you can't just buy a button. You can just say, hey, the owner is allowed to make a physical copy and print it and hang it in private use, or he's allowed to stream it. You know, we first, it's so self-understanding nowadays that an image, yeah, you find it and you can use it, but probably many people already had contact with images they used somewhere, and somebody said, hey, you need to take that down, otherwise we will charge you because you did infringe our copyright. And this is what we try to protect also investors. Like if you buy an NFT on our platform, or on any other marketplace who's featuring one of our NFTs, then you can be sure that the legal documentation is fixed associated with it, and then the people, the owners have an absolute guarantee of what is the right by owning this. What can I do with it?
Yeah, I mean that's what we've labeled it, and on our new website, which I'd like to promote right here, which launched.
I probably should have a look on the website.
Two weeks ago. No, but we've labeled it. I mean, that's why we've labeled it, and we've talked about the NFT plus, because it's an NFT, of course, but it is both safer to create, it's safer to purchase and to collect, because you have the KYC and you have the clear declaration of rights and authorization to actually do whatever you're doing, and the blockchain encoded or directly stored legal documents, which gives you a clear designation of what the rights are contained, what you're actually purchasing. I always say the NFT is like the box, but now you're clearly saying what's actually inside this box, right? Which seems like an important thing to do. Plus, of course, you have the super safe creation, digitizing physical artworks coming in. I mean, that's what we've been doing, which is, of course.
By the way, something super cool. Having an NFT is cool. Printing it out, cool that you can do it. That the artist allows you to do that. That's super cool. But hey, I just traveled. That's why my sunshade is a little bit nicer than usual, because usually I don't come out of the tech cave. Actually, you can show it on your phone in a virtual gallery as well. We have all those artworks which are already in a virtual gallery. That's pretty cool. And if you own something, you can add it, and then you can just enjoy it wherever you are. The cool thing is, with an NFT, the same thing applies. You can show it, right? So if you have an NFT of an actual artwork, this NFT we generated, he has a link to the physical artwork object which is tracked on our platform. And because of that, you can actually enjoy the virtual galleries of those NFTs as well. So you can have a gallery of NFTs, you can make exhibitions and compilations, and this is the cool thing, that it automatically uses the whole ecosystem we already have for physical art. You can use it for digital art, whatever. And by the way, I think I didn't mention that at the beginning, is one of the things we are adding right now. I mean, we already added it, we are testing and whatever, is the securing of digital art. Like, there are a lot of artists out there doing photos and videos, amazing videos. Of course, they do applications, whatever. And what we do allow them is to upload it to our platform as well, but also securing it at the same time. So we add forensic watermarking to it, and the people can analyze if they shared it. If I shared it to you and then it's found on a website somewhere else, they can see, hey, that was Dino who shared it to them. Why the fuck do they have the image which I shared to you? It sounds stupidly simple, but this is technology which is there around. This is not brand new technology, but how to use it. What's the use case, right? And the art industry, the main thing they have is the IP protection. And this is where we need to give them easy and handy tools to protect themselves, and investors as well as creators, because they contain still the IP rights. By the way, in an NFT, you could opt in to also transfer the IP rights. It's not usual.
No. Very, very true. No, but excellent, because that was going to be the second point. It's safer and better to bring in the NFT to bring in the artwork, to secure the artwork, to create the NFT. Again, ease of use. I mean, it's not public. I've seen what the journey looks like, what it takes to create an NFT, and it is super simple, right? Barely an inconvenience.
Fun fact. I enabled the NFT generator on the app, and I say, hey guys, show it, right? The first thing I had to do is I had to disable on the back end the generation of the actual NFT, because the way how they did, hey, do you see, this is my artwork, and now, I'm generating it, and then they go through it in a couple of seconds, and then, hey, And now it's generated. And I said, hey, stop. We cannot generate thousands of NFTs just for showing the people how it works. I had to disable it because it was so fast and easy, right? So,
it is, but while it's still being safe. I mean, others to do it on OpenSea, for example, is very easy as well. But again, you don't have anything. You don't, it's just upload an image, write a couple of words to it, and then click a button and pay some money, and then it's done. But again, what have you really created?
But I think it's easy. Of course, it's easy on those other platforms as well. Everybody can do a good UI. I'm not saying we're better, but the point is that the technology is just nicer. Because this NFT, there is a fingerprint on the artwork. That means like it's a secured artwork I'm generating the NFT for. It's not just an image somebody uploaded. And there was a physical object behind it. And this is the key. Of course, if it's a digital artwork, it's differently. That's why we're adding the forensic watermarking as well with versioning. It means like we know exactly what was generated when, for whom. And this combination makes it unique. And everybody can add this, of course, but to be honest, we have the idea of protecting art. And most of the others have the idea of making money with generating an NFT. Of course, we don't do NFTs for free, guys. That needs to be clear. But first of all, it's cheaper. Secondly, it's secure. And our idea is protecting the art behind the NFT. And the NFT by itself is an art piece as well. It's an addition. So it has a provenance, it has a documentation, it has a track flow, all those things which apply to a real artwork apply to an NFT as well on our platform. And that's the important part, because that's how you generate value. That makes it valuable, right? So yeah. Yeah, Matt, I always need to stop myself. Sorry, I'll probably.
I've been watching the clock. Don't worry. I'm on top of it. No, again, you hit the main points. It's easy while being secure and more performant, right? Again, that's where the label NFT Plus comes from. You can actually do both. A different kind of professor from mine would be very sad because they said you either do something better or you do it cheaper or less expensive. As usual, we always do it both. We do it better and we do it less expensive. Right?
I'd say, cost is something, to be honest, personally, if I would probably pay even more if it's a better service, but it's a cool feature if it's both.
Right?
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
But first of all, I need to know it, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the things we're doing today, telling the people what we have.
Yeah, it's not about, with us, it's not about hardcore profit maximization. It's about offering a great product that is usable for many people and broadening and giving that service, while still, and it has to be said, providing a wonderful business case that we're all very, very happy about. And I don't think there's any need to see that in a bad light at all. All right, yeah, but you've said it. Time is beginning to run out, and I mean, I had to stop you before, but maybe now a good time. Kai, you're the Q of our company. You're the master of technology and secret developments. Any kind of secret you can give us a little insight about?
Something I can talk about. Actually, there is something I can talk about. I mean, because it's not like we didn't hide it too much, but we didn't talk too much about it. You remember I said that we now bring in the condition report on the 4ART application like we have on the logistics side. So what we're actually going to do is, I mean, it's still targeting summer, but summer is a wide area. I think summer goes until next year, right? As a tech guy, that would be cool for deadlines. But no, we are actually right now, as I already did last year and the year before, we have one development stream I didn't talk about, which is robotics. That means like drones and self-driving drones and all that stuff. This doesn't mean we go into Tesla's business. What it actually means is some of our partners, they demanded that they do so many condition reports, and it's cool that you can do it with your mobile phone, and it's relatively fast compared to how it's usually done. It's incredibly fast already. So, but they say, hey, but we do like 30 a day. is there no way to do that somehow automatic? And there are two ways to do that, right? So first of all, you could buy a big machine for hundreds of thousands, and then you just scan them all, and then you have a super expensive guy who documents everything and does whatever he does. So what I did is I'm combining our tech with that demand right now, and we have prototypes already done last year, and now I'm working on the big boys, so that logistic companies, they can just say, okay, just do the condition report. So it means like the application, the logistic application is able to control the our self-driving drone. I would call it a robot. Drone is always like people like, Actually, we had a flying drone, by the way, who's doing the same thing. But for art, it's kind of, people are a bit scared of having flying objects in front of some million artworks. But hey, it's working. We've proven in the office, but it's driving one. So it's people more reliable. Oh, it just drives. You cannot destroy anything. And these are really big guys. Like they are very fast, transportable, but they can lift up. And what they do is they identify the artwork, and then they do the complete condition report of the complete artwork completely by itself. So they document every inch. And I mentioned about the heat maps we have, so they can identify changes compared to the previous versions. And as we have already condition reported in there, they can just update them. And then you just go through it and just look, okay, yeah, that's new, that's old. And then you have the versioning behind it, and actually tells you this was found on the 1st of March, this was found on the 15th of April, and what time and where on. And that's, by the way, super important for insurances, of course, and logistic companies, because they need to prove nothing was damaged on their side. It came in like it is. And so that's why this demand came in, because they have quite some business going on and they don't want to spend too much time. And yeah, they will save probably some time with that. And by the way, the reality is not that they will use less people. The reality is that they will be able to perform all those condition reports, because what they do instead is then they do a quick visual check, they call it, like they do a simple one, because that's something like clack, 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 easier. But if they can do a full one in the same time, they of course want to do the full one, because that gives everybody security. And that's a pretty cool thing, because those self-driving guys driving around in the office, that's super cool. I love that. I mean, from a gadget point of view, that's my top.
Yeah, certainly. So it's a bit. We can imagine the future is the night at the museum, but rather than having dinosaur skeletons and penguins running around, it's driving and flying drones doing condition reporting.
I have quite some ideas what else you could do with that.
Oh God, I don't. maybe the next talk will go really future.
Probably I should make some videos for you so you can.
You should, yeah, because then I can distribute them to the outside world, and then we can show them the kind of things we're up to. Yeah, I can. I'm sure. Well,
besides that, there is so much more to come. You know, we have those GPS trackers. I think I talked to you last time about it. There's so many small things which we have for the chips, right? We just added it, like, you know, like instead of a QR code, you can also use an RFID sticker for an artwork, and then it's just tracked and linked. And so we make that. There's so many things right now. It's even hard to mention them, and it's very hard for me to have a top list, right? It's like to the top 50 maybe.
Yeah, for the next talk, we'll just have one big bullet point list, and we can just go through all the things that we're doing and that you're doing and developing, and then
maybe we should ask quite easily what they would like to hear, because it's like kind of difficult to just think what could interest them right now, right?
Yeah. Well, as we come to that point, and I think we should finish up. We've run a bit over time anyway, but luckily we don't have. Luckily, say not too many questions, so I can pick a few of the better ones and relay them to you. For now, Kai, thank you very much for giving us that insight. Again, always a pleasure to talk to you. Let's see. One of the first questions that I have here, which is NFT related, is when you mint an NFT in the 4ART app. Can you trade it just on the 4ART marketplace, or can you trade it anywhere on, say, Binance, for example, launched their marketplace a couple of days ago. What's possible?
First question is, yes, you can also, of course, go on other marketplaces with it, right? It's an NFT. It lives on the blockchain. It's a tradable object. You can trade it also outside the marketplace. There's no problem doing that. The point is that the other marketplace and the reality nowadays is that they're somehow. I couldn't read too much about it, but that's the key. You cannot read about it. Is marketplaces need to feature all those different NFT objects, and usually they try to feature only their own because that's where they make money with, right? So that's the reality, right? So there is a commission system most of the time attached to a marketplace, and that's why they try to have it. So our approach is that we of course traded on our marketplace, but when we did talk to Binance, for example, we try to make our NFT such a standard that others adopt it, so it's interchangeable. But basically, everybody can trade it outside as well if he likes to. But of course, he doesn't have all the infrastructure he could do with he can deal with, right? So having a marketplace, of course, with a generator combined gives you much more options. But yes, question is very simple. Yes, even so, I elaborated.
Sounds good. There's another question coming up about it, but we'll switch to that in a second. I'm going to get to this one, which came in earlier, and it's about the app or in-app solution to pay with the 4ART coins. Right. Just the question: what's the current status? I don't know if you want to talk about it. I've talked to actually the guys just today about it. It's currently at the partners when it comes to the brokerage and the banking, and they're currently doing the setup of it. There is no clear ETA yet because it's a world first, so it's always, Kai, you know this, a bit trickier than maybe you can than you mentioned at the very beginning.
Yeah, I can elaborate a little bit. On the technology side, we are basically clear.
Yes.
It's what we are right now working on is the how do you call it in English? The financial approval of the Swiss authority. Basically, it's only about finalizing it right now. As we had all the talks with all the different legal parties and also the people in charge on the authorities, and now it's about finalizing it. And at that moment, when they said, "Okay, now go," then we will go ahead with it. And yes, you're right. That happens if you do something the first time ever. Then this works. I mean, for people, it sounds so self-understanding. It's absolutely not self-understanding. It's this ease of use. Usually the people try to bridge it by breaking out of the apps and then doing it through other ways. And what we want to achieve is having a completely seamless experience for the person actually using the 4ART coin. That's, I think, a role model. And, we work also with other big blockchain holders, and there it's getting important as well. So our system probably will be used in multiple areas.
Yes, probably as much of our tech that you've developed is being done, but it's, to keep it very simple, it's not that far away. It's currently
it's actually not far away at all. It's just like I can assure you that even so, you wouldn't have the it's an optional drop-in. So even if we don't have the payment at the beginning with the 4ART coin, with the in-app purchase of the 4ART coin, it's super seamless to get 4ART coins in. So there are two directions. So in any case, it will work, but we want to get rid of that last barrier.
Yes. Yeah, that's the cool bit. Okay, maybe on that note, another question was when you're to leave that in, when you're on another platform, for example, and you want to create an NFT, you usually need a wallet and you need Ethereum on it or Tezos or whatever platform you have. How does it work when you're minting NFTs in the 4ART app?
We cater for that. That means like we have a way to, so you have, I mean, let's explain it on an Ethereum wallet. So basically every user has an application wallet, right? And so it's an actual Ether wallet. And this is what we use for those trades and whatever happens. And yes, we take care of when you actually do it, you pay with classic, like you do right now with the credits, means like you have some fiat, then you buy some tokens, and then you pay that this is being done. And all the gas costs, we cater for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very simply,
you don't need to do anything as a user. We will cater for the gas costs. We make sure there's enough gas for the relevant blockchain and make sure it's actually being used. So for you, it feels like you just press, I mean, that's the idea, right? Pressing a button and then the things are done. So of course, we have the same kind of in the background, it's the same kind of things you need to have. But in our case, we help the user doing that without him. Hey, by the way, now you need to do that. Now you need to do that. We try to make it super smooth.
Yeah, and that's going to open the ARM market on a big scale, because you can bring in so many people who don't want to go through this whole thing of creating a wallet and getting some Ethereum and whatever. Again, it's simple. You click a button and we do all the complicated stuff, and it just works. It's very good. Okay, it's 7 p.m. Zurich and Munich time on the dot. We are forced to close.
Again. That's it already? Damn.
I'm telling you, it's always fast. Yeah, an hour is shorter than you may think. Kai, thank you very much for your time. I want to thank all our viewers as well. As always, these talks are going to be saved and will be distributed and available on YouTube for you to see again if you want to check out what Kai has said. Kai, thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful evening, and I'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.